on the topic of when people first turn on their prosthetic, is the sound they hear still completely? Is it completely garbled, and their brain has to learn, or how does that work out?
I guess it depends on whether or not you've heard before. If you
Okay.
if you know what sound is supposed to be like. I sat next to a woman on a train once that had cochlear implants, and it was still when I worked for the company. I pulled out my business card and I showed it to her, and we had this great conversation on a train journey up to the Central Coast, and she was explaining what it was like to have this cochlear implant. And she said, my neighbor, everybody seems to think that they sound like Donald Duck when you turn these things on. She said, my neighbor sounded like Donald Duck, my husband sounded like Donald Duck, my kids sounded like Donald Duck. But all of a sudden, she started to notice that there was a difference between Donald Duck the neighbor and Donald Duck the husband and the kids and whatnot. And eventually, she said they just sort of separated into their own individualness, I guess. And she said now when I hear them, they sound exactly like they sounded before she went deaf. And I just found that amazing. But there's not enough, going back to this keyboard analogy, there aren't enough keys in the keyboard to 22 channels to give that full spectrum of sound. So that's the brain filling in all the gaps and saying, all right, well, that sort of buzzing and popping sound should sound like smooth speech. And so the brain just does that in real time. And I think that she said there's no difference now, in her opinion, to the sound that she heard before and the sound now for speech anyway.